weekend, the Derby and the Oaks picture will take a back seat as the Irish 2000 Guineas take centre stage. And there's also some top-class action from Haydock. And I'm here with Paul, who's picked his way through the form as always. So Paul, Aidan O'Brien's Master Craftsman's won the race last year and he saddled 6 more this time around. And I see you've gone for a novel choice.
As ever, Lewis, you're a well-read man. Yep, Steinbeck, named after John Steinbeck, the famous American writer.
Yeah, Mice and Men, one of my favourite books, I've got to say.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll be drinking vintage champagne after he wins. It's not the grapes of wrath. But this horse, Steinbeck, he was spoken of in glowing terms, really, by Aidan O'Brien, even before he made his racecourse debut last May, it was, at Naas. And that time out he beat Gold Bubbles by 2.5 lengths, and she's done nothing wrong with the form this year. She ran so well to finish second in the Musadora Stakes at York last week. The only trouble was Steinbeck, we didn't see him again until the Dewhurst Stakes last October, because he had a bit of a setback. Now the form of the Dewhurst was somewhat discredited straight after the race, simply because the first 4 home were covered by I think about 1/2 length, which doesn't look that great. But for me, coming back off a 5-month layoff, Steinbeck looked the one to take from the race.
Okay.
In the race itself, he hit the gates running, and that left Johnny Murtagh with a bit of a problem. Did he rein the horse in, or did he let him bowl along? In the end, Murtagh took the latter option. He ran really well, and he just really tired out a bit in the last, 100 yards. No problem. Really what you expected. It was a perfectly good run, set him up for this season. Trouble was, he had another setback. He missed the 2000 Guineas, but I think the Irish Guineas is going to be his moment where O'Brien pulls another race out of the pack.
Okay, so Steinbeck then for Paul. Canford Cliffs is also at the head of the market, and you know I'm a big fan of Canford. I'll be backing him this week, I think. Can you give me any positives surrounding his chances?
Well, you can't take away from the fact he won the Coventry Stakes last year by 6 lengths, but you also can't get away from the fact he's been beaten in his last 3, and for me, he looks a sprinter. If he gets dropped in distance, he could be awesome. But this time around, if you're looking for elsewhere, away from Steinbeck, I'd look at Noel Wallop, Tommy Stack's horse. Now, he beat another O'Brien horse, Viscount Nelson, by 3.5 lengths at Leopardstown in March.
Yeah,
and I reckon he could be the one for the places. Okay,
not the best news then for my bet on Canford Cliffs then, but we'll see on Saturday. And also there's a typically tough Group 2 sprint, the Temple Stakes at Haydock. Where have you sided with this one, do you think?
You're right, it's very tight. I mean, it really is. I'm sticking with Kingsgate Native. He's a dual Group 1 winner, but in this race he gets into it without a Group 1 penalty.
That's right, yeah.
I think that's a big thing for him. Now, okay, I do admit he's needed his first run of the year for the last 2 seasons, but there were big excuses last year.
Yeah.
He'd just come back from an abortive attempt as a stallion, and so it took time for him to get back to the idea of racing again. It's not that easy, believe it or not. But if you look at his run, the second run at Goodwood, he beat Total Gallery by 2.5 lengths. He had the likes of Bordler Scott, Equiano and Reverence all behind him. And this time around, Total Gallery's got to give that £7 penalty for winning the Prix de l'Abbé. This one hasn't. To me, that makes all the difference.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that there, Paul. You've got a point there. And also an even tougher race to finish. We'll finish on it. The competitive Betfred Silver Bowl handicap at Haydock as well. And you think there's one who's on a winning mark currently, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Huygens, he caught my eye when he ran in the Isha Cup, Sandown, at the end of April. He was only beaten 2 3/4 lengths by Fallen Idol, who I think is a very good horse. He could be a decent, even Group 2, Group 1 miler in the making. So that was a good run, and for me, he's on a mark, I think, 93. That looks a winning mark here. Yeah,
also very good price as well. I looked this morning on the markets, and it's a good price. So, it's Steinbeck, Kingsgate Native, and Huygens for Paul. A treble which pays 300 to 1, and all the best of luck if you're going to be on that bet, because I think you're going to need it.